first, and he said, Malcolm, when you do this deal, when you get on World, just know that after it's over, no one's going to mess with you. You will essentially be blacklisted, blackballed for selling out. And so leading up to that, I went years without having any sponsor. And so I had zero options. And so when World approached me and wanted to cut me a check, I went all in, did it, knew that it was going to be a 2-year run with the expectation of it extending beyond that. But once they brought in a new team manager, and it became pretty evident really fast that at some point they were going to be going in a different direction, because typically when a new team manager comes in, he will kick off the original team and put on his guys, and that was no exception. So after getting the news that my contract wasn't going to be getting renewed, I immediately, at that point, I was living in New York City, amazing time, and it's not a city, if you've been there, it's not a place, it's kind of not the easiest place to get by. Very expensive, has always been on the higher end as far as the US in terms of cities to live in. I didn't want to be in just any old place in New York. I preferred to be in Manhattan. That's where I was living at the time. At one point I lived in Queens, but I still preferred the nightlife and energy of Manhattan. And so I decided to go back to Cali. That's where I'm comfortable, that's where I'm from. So I went back to LA on the road. I saw trucks nonstop, and it dawned on me, like, yeah, just get into driving. You won't have to deal with people. You still get to travel, you get paid. And so once I touched down in LA, I went to truck driving school, got my CDL, hit the road, and did the over-the-road OTR driving freight, and it was miserable. It just, salute to everybody that can do it. Just for me, at that point in time, it wasn't for me. The internet wasn't what it is now, so through many states, you didn't have any reception. There was no radio. You just get that dead ringing in your ears. And the worst part was that with companies, they match you up with a stranger. The first guy, I don't smoke cigarettes, and he was a smoke 2 packs a day with the windows up person. And that lasted about 15 minutes before we got off at the next off-ramp, called the company, went back to a hotel, and they matched me up with the next guy who was cool. We rolled out for about 6 months, and then I went home, and they matched me up with another guy who did not take showers. He would take a shower once every 2 weeks. And yeah, that's not an option. So long story short, got back to California, home time, transitioned into driving a dump truck. And that's where I'm at now, low stress. My day typically starts around 2 or 3 in the morning. On a good day, I prefer to leave when it's night out, try and catch that sunrise every morning. The job basically consists of just go on the base, grab the truck, do my pre-trip, get fuel, and then just set out from point A to point B, get to point B, get loaded up with stone, bring it on back to point A, and my day is over. It's just a one and done situation for the most part. The only real stressor is dealing with the alphabet boys, the DOT, or accidents, breakdowns. It's an everyday occurrence, and that's about it. It's just a fact of life when you're dealing with the freeway. But ultimately, skateboarding will give you all the tools to wreck your body and destroy yourself. And too many people are afraid to go out and get careers, jobs. Skateboarding is one of those things where you can work your whole life for something, and then when you get it, it only lasts a few minutes. And a lot of people mentally aren't prepared for that few minutes to be up. So afterwards, they pick up habits along the way. It could be a straight edge person, and the second they get in that van with the team, now all of a sudden you're sipping beers. Next thing you know, you got a hot box. You can't wake up and sleep through the night without waking up to smoke some broccoli, and they just don't recover. And there's too many people. I've seen too many guys that were mentally sharp and they just lost focus and ultimately never recovered, as well as I've met too many to count amazing skateboarders that just never got a shot, never got their fair share. Every city has a park dominator, and every city has just that guy that is amazing on a skateboard, has everything, but it still is a high school in crowd. You're either an insider or you're an outsider, and That's the best way I can sum it up. When you're an insider, no matter what you do on and off the board, they will keep you with a sponsor. And I've seen guys go to prison. You guys all know there's guys that go to prison, commit a murder, whatever, go to prison, keep a pro model the entire time, stay on the payroll, shoe sponsor, and the whole nine. And then there's other guys that are in the free world the whole time producing skating, and they get kicked off for not living up to whatever expectation there is. And there's others that are just amazing and they don't even get in the building. I remember an interview years back with Grant Taylor, and he was talking about he had never quit a sponsor before, so he didn't know what to do making this transition from Alien Workshop to Anti-Hero. So we called up Jim Thiebaud, and Jim summed it up by saying, Grant, this is what you do. You call up Alien Workshop, you tell them you quit, you hang the phone up. And then you call up Anti-Hero, tell them how much money you want, and hang the phone up. And it's just that simple. When you're a made man, he is amazing and all, but when you're a made man, it is that easy. And then there's other cases of when you're an outsider, no matter what you do, you can go ollie up Wallenberg and it won't change your situation. If one or two people don't like you in the building, you're not getting into the building. Or I've seen a case, another example of a guy that was amazing and he worked the job, and so I'm in the van and they used that as an excuse to not put him on the team. Never mind the fact that it was other guys in the van that were full-time college students. And it's just, it's uneven. It's beyond, it's not even high school. The industry itself is more like middle school. And that's why you have so many pros that after the fact, when their run, if they even have a run, once they're done with skateboarding, they don't even want to be around skaters. They don't want to see another skateboard. And it just kind of jades them. It makes them bitter and old. And just don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. If you're trying to get into the industry, my aim is just to tell you unadulterated 100% truth of what to expect and what it is. When you walk into it, if you're trying to get into it and you make it, save your money, try and get yourself some property, a house, all assets, no liabilities. And if you can pay that house off, you're good. A condo, anything on that level that at least you'll be putting your money into an investment that worst case scenario, you need a loan, there you go. Or absolute worst case scenario, you can always cash out on your house and relocate and you have some equity saved up. I've seen too many people. I saw another interview with Jeremy Rogers, said he was making close to $1 million a year, only to now live in his mother's basement and can't afford to go buy a Starbucks Frappuccino. That's an example of just not having the right people around you. And at the same time, just being a maniac mentally. I'm sure with that money, you couldn't tell him anything. So he had to bump his head and live his own life. It is what it is. But I'm just trying to, just at the end of it, if you make it, don't say nobody didn't tell you, you didn't know. That's my mission with this one. Another example of why you should, when the run is over, get yourself a job. And if you are in skateboarding and professional, whatever, get medical insurance. I can't stress that enough. It pains me to see, I saw a skater, I won't even throw the name out there, but a made man in my eyes, pro model, still to this day, had signature shoes. For years, I've watched him win countless contests, countless best tricks, jumps off buildings, had covers of Thrasher, Transworld, all the media and whatnot. And then he hurt his knee, tore his ACL, whatever, and ended up having to set up a GoFundMe to get surgery. He came up with the money, no problem, but just the fact that you are a made man in a sport that makes $3 billion a year and you don't have medical insurance, it's backwards. It's not good. Me, myself, with the job, I had knee surgery in 2016, 2017, and 2018. That's 3 knee surgeries back to back. And when the surgery's over, it's not over. You still have physical therapy for months. The second knee surgery for me in 2017, I was in bed for it took close to 10 months to get back to walking without crutches level for me in that case. And luckily, just having a job, having insurance for that matter, I was able to maintain and not have to set up a GoFundMe just to get back right. I'm still not 100%. 2020 was full of knee shots, and I just stopped getting the shots after 2020. been riding the bike, still rolling around on the board, working my way back up to full capacity, but it takes a lot out of you. But I digress. The overall point, get yourself medical insurance if you're going to skateboard, and especially if you're doing it at a high level. It's insane that in the skateboard industry, you have pros riding for companies as independent contractors, 1099, which they don't have insurance. But the guy in the warehouse, all day, safe and sound, he has full medical. And chances are his family is on his insurance. So his wife, they can have a baby and they don't deal with the bill. But the skater who's out in the field, jumping downstairs, doing what he's supposed to be doing to keep the lights on, essentially is on his own. And that is the case in so many of these buildings with brands. But at the end of the day, this is just where I'm at right now. There is light at the end of the tunnel. Get yourself a job. I've made more money working than I did in skateboarding. The only difference with skateboarding is that it gave me freedom. And that's priceless in itself, just being able to travel to other countries and see the U.S. at the capacity that I saw it. A lot of that is over these days. You don't have vans traveling state to state anymore. Now it's just all about staying in one place and getting on Instagram. That's where we're at in 2024. So the metric has changed. It's all different now. But for me to you, there is light at the end of the tunnel. Have a plan and execute that plan. Don't be embarrassed. Don't have too much pride that you can't go out and get a job. And chances are, once you get some money in your pocket and your life situated, you still got unlimited time to go out there and roll around on the board and have your stress relief session. Keep the wheels rolling. You guys be safe out there. Thanks for tuning in.